going on, guys? It's Ray, and today we're going to be talking about maintenance. So how much is maintenance on a GT500, you ask? More than you can afford, pal. Just kidding, guys. So we're basically going to cover how much an oil change is going to cost you, spark plugs, brake pads, as well as tires. Other than that, you really don't have much to worry about on these cars. This car does have 98,000 miles. I bought it with 50,000. I daily drive it, so it's going up pretty high. So I do have a pretty good idea of what maintenance costs are. So let's go ahead and cover them. Alright, so first order of business is the oil. This car is equipped with a 5.4 liter supercharged engine. This applies from 2007 to 2014. 14s have a 5.8, but they take the same amount of oil. You're going to need 6.5 quarts of synthetic oil. As you can see here on the cap, it takes 5W50. Typically, I try to stick with Mobil 1. If not, I'll use Castrol Syntec. The cheapest place I can typically find it is either Amazon or Walmart. You can get 5-quart jug of synthetic oil for roughly $22. Then you have to get 2 individual quarts, which are about $8 or $9. So that puts you at about $40, and then you have to get a Motorcraft Air oil filter as well. So figure about $60 to do the oil change on this car, assuming you already have all the tools. Of course, if you need like a jack or drip pan and stuff, it's gonna add in. It's a one-time cost. And then I actually pay my friend $40 to install it for me. As you all know, my car's pretty low, so I really don't like jacking it up and getting up under there. I have done it about 2 times. I've done quite a bit of oil changes on it, but lately I just pay for it. So that's the cost of an oil change. Figure $60 to $120. I do it every 3,000 miles. Even though I can go 5 on synthetic, just because I do drive it hard sometimes, and preventive maintenance is good. Car doesn't really burn much oil, and I also installed this JLT intake or JLT oil catch can over here. It doesn't catch much oil, but if there is anything to catch, it'll do it. So that's how much an oil change is going to cost you. Second order of business is brake pads. This right here are Porterfield racing pads. I actually have stock 2013 brake pads in there from when I had 6 pistons. There's 2 different costs here depending on what your GT500 you have. So if you have a 2007 through 2012, you have 4 piston Brembo calipers as shown right here. You can get some like Hawk pads or something from American Muscle for roughly $150 to $200. And then that's how much pads are going to run you. I've only gone through 1 set of pads in those 40,000 miles I've driven. On the 4 pistons, that's not including the 6s. If you need rotors, you can get some drilled and slotted or some slotted from American Muscle for about $280, or Amazon or whichever you'd like. And that's for Stop Tech rotors. It's about another couple hundred for the rears if you needed them. I actually have them out back right here. There's a lot of heat spots on them from, racing. And then on the rears, I just use regular AutoZone pads, which I get for like $30, ceramics. So brakes aren't that big of a deal. If you have a 2013, it's a little harder to find brake pads. I actually, when I had the 6 pistons, I went ahead and bought these Porterfield pads from Rivon Racing. These were like $350. They're really expensive, but I wanted to keep brake dust to a minimum. That's how much a brake job's gonna cost you. You're just doing pads and turning the rotors. Typically, it's about $60 to turn both rotors, plus about $200 for the pads. You're at $260, and then some fluid. Figure about $270 for brake change, and then up to like $1,000, I guess, if you get rotors front and rear. So then that's your cost there. And then of course, spark plugs, which are really easy on this car. It's not a Chevy motor, so you have a dual overhead cam. So there's actually 2 bolts right here on the valve cover. It pops off, and then that exposes 1, 2, 3, 4 spark plugs. I use NGK TR6s. I change them every time I do an oil change. It's about $2 a plug, so $16 plus some like anti-seize grease, which I don't use on this car. It's not recommended. So figure about $20 on top of the cost of your oil change. So every 3,000 miles you drive your GT500, you're looking at about, let's see, like $80 to $120. And then that's about it for this car. There's also tires. If you want to go with some like Toyota AAAs or some Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss, which is what I usually go with, on the front or the rear in 20s or 19s, They're going to run you around $350 to $450 a tire, including tax. And you know, that's just depending on if you do burnouts or how you drive. So that's a variable right there. And of course, you know, I have done differential fluid and, you know, trans fluid and all that. Antifreeze for the supercharger, intercooler, and the engine coolant. But overall, this car is not bad on maintenance. Like I said, it has almost 100,000 miles, and you know, it really doesn't cost much more to, you know, do maintenance on than a Toyota Corolla, besides you know, more frequent intervals of doing spark plugs and, you know, slightly more oil capacity. But if you want to daily drive a GT500, or even if it's your Sunday driver, don't expect to spend much on maintenance. It's a fairly cheap car to have regarding maintenance, and that's about it, guys. If you have any questions regarding any other costs on this car, I'd be more than happy to tell you. I do want to make a video on how much insurance and all that cost me. It's also, spoiler alert, it's cheaper than having a 5.0. My insurance went down after trading in my 5.0 and getting this. So that's about it, guys. You know, if you're on the fence about getting this car and you think maintenance is going to be an issue, it really isn't. So, you know, go ahead and get it if you can afford it. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. And sorry I've been gone for so long. I had to catch up on some stuff. But I do have a review on this car coming up, as well as some other projects. You know, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.